Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into her side, Chief. We was coming back from the island of Tanin to Leyte. We just delivered the bomb. The Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water that night, Chief. Men in the water. Sharks in the water. The vessel went down in about 12 minutes or so. I really didn't see the first shark for about a half hour. It was a tiger. 13-footer. You know how you know that in the water, Chief? You can always tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. What we didn't know was that our bomb mission was so goddamn secret that no distress signal had ever been sent. Shit, they didn't even list us overdue for a week. Very first light, Chief. Sharks come cruising in. So we formed ourselves into tight groups. You know, it's like those infantry squares in the old calendars, like the Battle of Waterloo, and the idea was that when a shark would come to the nearest man, that man, he'd just start pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes the shark, he would go away. But sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark, he'd just look right at you. Right into your eyes. And you see, the thing about a shark is he's got these lifeless eyes. These black eyes. Like a doll's eyes or a demon's eyes. And when he comes at you, it doesn't even seem to be living. Until he bites you. And those black, dead eyes roll over white. And then, you hear those terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red. And despite all your pounding and your hollering and your screaming, those sharks they just keep coming in. And, they just rip you to pieces. You know, by the end of that first dawn, Chief, we lost about 100 men. I don't know how many sharks there were, maybe 1,000, I don't know. I don't know how many men. They averaged about 6 an hour. Thursday morning, Chief, I bumped into a friend of mine. His name was Herbie Robinson. He was from Cleveland. He was a baseball player. Bosom's mate. I thought he was asleep. I reached over to wake him up. He just bobbed up and down in the water. Sort of like a top. Well, he upended and he had been bitten in half below the waist, you see. At noon on the 5th day, Mr. Lockheed Ventura swung in low and he spotted us. He was a young pilot, a lot younger than Mr. Hooper here. Anyway, he spotted us and flew. A few hours later, big old fat PBY came down and started to pick us up. You know, that was the first time I was most frightened. I was just there waiting for my turn. I'll never put on another life jacket again. So, 1,100 men went into the water that night. Men in the water. Sharks in the water. 316 men come out. The sharks took the rest, Chief. June the 29th, 1945. Mission was a success. We delivered the bomb. That's good.